Welcome out to Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer and it feels so right. I'll meet you out on Broadway underneath Shamrock Light. We're gonna have a good time on the patio tonight. There's a party down at Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer on a champagne night. We're feeling all alone and you got no place to go. So come down here and drink a beer on Kelly's patio. Kelly's a fun place to eat and drink. 2902 Broadway.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Muddy. I'm Ashley Conrad. Joining me today, Katherine Roskamp-Ellerbrock with the Quincy Museum. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Well, of course. So you have a lot of cool things coming up. One, I was doing some reading on, Ron actually did an interview about this, and it's Colonel Frank Furr,
yes,
which is a great name. And Colonel Frank Furr has a very interesting life and a very interesting story, to say the least.
Yes. So he is a retired Air Force pilot, and his claim to fame is he was very instrumental in the U-2 program, which is high altitude surveillance during the Cold War. And he flew over China and the Soviet Union and collected all sorts of information and brought it back to the U.S. to analyze.
Yeah. And then he had, he had some experience with the Green Berets and, over 21 years of, I'm sure a whirlwind of crazy experiences.
A lot of military experiences and stories that he's actually going to come to Quincy on behalf of the Quincy Museum and talk about those and talk about his experiences. So
very cool. I mean, even for me, I don't know anything about, I don't know anything about it, but it would be interesting to hear it from his perspective and hear it from his mouth, right?
From his point of view. And it's definitely a story that a lot of people, we don't get to hear. We hear military history and we hear a lot about, our own local, soldiers and what they've done and what they've accomplished, but rarely do we get to have an experience like this on the 18th.
Yeah, and it is the 18th, so October 18th, which is this Friday, and it benefits the Quincy Museum.
The Quincy Museum. So a lot of what we are working on right now at the Quincy Museum is, working on our list of capital projects, those big projects that require more dollars.
Yeah, expenditures, sure.
Yep, the changes to the building, improvements to the building, and then of course we're really focusing on our educational programming right now as well with our student tours. So teachers can actually book student tours with us, and they match the exhibits that are the student exhibits on the third floor, and you can utilize us as a field trip for your kids,
which is awesome. Yeah, that is really cool. So the event is one of many that are we're hoping to raise funds for the Quincy Museum, but it sounds like a really cool one. So it's October 18th. How do people get tickets for Colonel Frank Furr?
Yes. So tickets are still on sale through the Quincy Community Theater. They have been a partner to us and they've been wonderful to work with, and we really appreciate them working with us to help supply these tickets. Or you can visit our website at thequincymuseum.org.
Perfect. And then it's $100 a ticket?
$100 a ticket. And actually the event is at Quincy Country Club.
Nice.
Yeah, starts at 6 o'clock on the 18th.
And then they
Friday.
get dinner.
Dinner's included.
Yeah.
Cash bar, but dinner's included.
Perfect. Yeah. So go get yourself a nice dinner, have a couple drinks, and listen to Colonel Frank Furr tell about his experiences through Air Force pilot. I just think that's so cool.
Especially when you think you watch Top Gun, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, to hear a fighter pilot talk about their experience, I think it would be so cool.
And from my understanding, I could be 100% wrong on this, but from my understanding, you watch Top Gun and you see where they are, and I think this is higher than that.
Oh, really?
At least somewhere, yes. Maybe not the top of the top, because that's a lot of dramatization.
Yes, yeah.
As I butcher the word.
No, you're good.
There's a lot of that, of course, production puts into that to make
movie
it look
quality,
extra.
baby. Yeah.
But something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even think about the high altitude. That's another element that's thrown in there. So it'll be definitely
He has pictures that he's shared with us that he can see the curvature of the earth from his plane.
Get out.
Yeah.
Hear that, flat earthers? He can totally dispel that. So go listen to Colonel Frank Furr at the Country Club October 18th. Get online to get those tickets. Can they get them at the door?
No.
Nope. Okay.
So tickets are online only, or you can stop by the Quincy Community Theater box office as well.
Perfect. And then, so that's the upcoming event, and then of course you have other events planned to raise some funds as well, right?
We do. We have 2 events between now and the end of the year, and the first one is a collaboration with Muddy River Opera. And it's called A Night at the Museum. And so we are going to partner, bring kiddos onto the grounds, show the movie Night at the Museum.
Fun.
Super cute movie.
Yeah.
We love it. But then there's going to be different yard games and things for kids to do on the grounds, and then a costume contest with some prizes as well.
So fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Muddy River Opera has been wonderful to work with. They're a great team, and we're lucky to partner with them.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
And then in December, on December 7th, we have a Christmas collaboration called Miracle on Main Street with the Lorenzo Bowl House and the Art Center. And the whole goal of that is to just create this whole glowy Christmas experience on Main Street, that 16th and Main intersection. And folks can travel between the different organizations, the different houses, and the Art Center is going to have something for kids to do. Lorenzo Bowl House is going to have some activities, and then we're going to have music at the museum as well.
We're so lucky to have the museum in Quincy.
It's fun.
Yes, it is. It's so fun. You guys bring a lot to this community, and really excited about this upcoming event. I think it's going to be super cool. And like I said, Ron did an interview, and I think we're gonna watch that now. So here's a quick glimpse about what you can expect on Friday, October 18th. Katie, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right, here's Ron.
Hi, this is Ron Kincherf with Muddy River News, and we are joined by Colonel Frank Fuzzy Furr, retired colonel with the United States Air Force, and he will be speaking in Quincy at the History Museum, Quincy Museum, coming up in a few weeks on the 18th of October. So are you looking forward to your trip to Quincy, sir?
I am. I haven't been there before, and looking forward to it. I've had people who have said, "Oh, an interesting place to go," and I said, "Yeah, I feel pretty good about going back there because I like to travel, and that's certainly a place that I haven't been to, and getting to see that part of the states is nice."
Well, I think liking to travel is an understatement for what your career has entailed. So I'm going to kind of let you explain, because you had a great career in the Air Force, obviously, but it kind of took a turn in the 50s, right? Because you were a part of, I was like the cutting edge of spycraft or something along those lines with the Air Force, correct?
Well, yeah, the 50s were certainly a cutting edge of that. I didn't join the U2 program until 1971.
Okay.
So I came in still with the Cold War going on and an awful lot of activity going on. And actually, when I came to the program, I felt that I was probably fly the U-2 for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it would probably be retired, because that's certainly what they were thinking about in those, with the SR-71 coming on board, as well as the satellite activity that we had going on.
Well, can you just tell us what the U-2 is?
Yeah, the U-2 is a 104-foot wingspan glider with a big engine in it, I guess is the easiest way to explain what it is. But it was developed back in the 50s. 55, 56 was the first flights of the U-2. And of course, in 1960, Gary Powers was shot down over the Soviet Union, which created a pretty big headache for President Eisenhower at the time. And it was kind of the start of more action than we probably had visualized for the U-2. They figured it would fly for a few years before being detected. It actually flew for almost 5 years before they shot down the first one. And it was shot down based upon the fact that we didn't realize that the Soviets had extended the altitude range of their ground-to-air missiles.
So so there's just one U-2 to start with, right? Is that correct?
No. We built 55.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. 31 of them went to the Air Force. 24 went to the CIA.
So how many of those were deployed at one time?
Generally, you had 2 or 3 of the aircraft deployed at different bases of where it was. A lot of the early ones that were built over that time frame and to get to the 55 were being used to train pilots as we were developing the program.
So you were a pilot of these U-2s, correct? And okay, and you would go up to 70,000 feet, roughly, give or take a foot, and look down upon the ground below. I don't know what probably just binoculars, right? I'm sure you can see all the way down there.
Yep, you can see from there.
I know, I'm teasing. And then you would basically spy on the persons you were told to spy on. Is that correct? Just to see what kind of activity was going on?
I was flying the truck, if you want to look at it that way. There, the equipment that was doing the spying. Visually, the pilots in the U-2 from around 70,000 feet, you have a good view, as you can see behind me on the screen there. You've got a good view, but you haven't got a detailed view of much at all. You can see things happening if it's at night, especially flying the U-2 or in the Vietnam War area. We could watch the missiles being launched from the ground coming up towards aircraft. And so
now, could you be seen? Could I see you from the ground though?
No.
Okay, so you were basically invisible to a degree.
Airplane was black. Airplanes are still black. And the sky above is when you get above about 65,000 feet, becomes very black above you. And so you're kind of invisible up there.
So I'm assuming there's telescopes or something or cameras that are recording everything that's going on beneath you.
Correct.
And that then you land and transmit it, or is it transmitted live back to home base?
Oh, well, now we're getting into the real interesting part of this. The U-2 was going away, as I said earlier. We all felt that Vietnam was going on, and some smart people said, hey, we've got electronic equipment on the U-2 gathering up signals intelligence, or in other words, signals coming as well as voice type of information that is being collected on the airplane, but we're bringing it back. So it's useful, but it's not useful for real-time type of intelligence needs. So a company out here in Salt Lake City, Sperry at the time, started building data links, communication links between different things, and they decided in the Pentagon to try to put a data link on the U-2 to be able to transmit the information it was receiving back to a ground station in near real time. So that took place while we were in Vietnam, or flying missions in Vietnam, and we were actually flying out of Thailand for those missions. And so the airplane would be flying in an orbit somewhere, gathering information day or night. In the intelligence world, both the signals intelligence as well as imagery. And so the system became very tactically useful at that time. And to highlight that, the fact that the U-2s were flying up there and gathering information as the North Vietnamese aircraft were taking off to come intercept different formations coming in, we were intercepting those radio calls between the base and the airplanes, and able to then, the guy on the ground was listening to this, and he had a controller, a fighter controller sitting next to him. He would pass the information on to those guys, and they then would be able to tell the fighters where the other fighters were coming up to intercept them.
Okay.
So in the real-time system at that time, we later continued to develop the system to be able to do not only the signals, but also the imagery itself. In other words, using digital cameras or radar systems to be.
Are these planes or something similar to these planes being used today?
Same airplanes are being used today.
Okay, so how
the ones built back in the early days. They're newer.
Correct. But so how critical are they to the decisions, the Joint Chiefs or whoever are making about what's going on in the Middle East and what's going on over in Ukraine?
I'm not in the operational world today, but I certainly surmise that the aircraft are certainly being used in a very critical role going on within Israel right now and in the Mideast, because we have operations out of Akrotiri, Cyprus, a British base there called RAF Akrotiri, and we have been flying there over 40 years.
Right.
Operating out of there, and so I'm almost positive those aircraft are extremely busy right now.
So
And
so how quickly can you get you leave Cyprus?
Sure.
How quickly do you get to 70,000 feet?
Oh, about 32 minutes.
Okay, so it takes you all to get up there. And then when you're up there, what type of activity are you looking for? Just where the bad guys are, or is it?
You have a planned route that you're flying. And so that route is planned by the intelligence world and mission planners to give you the best location for what they think your targets are for that mission.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's just gathering signals intelligence, then you're generally in an orbit, an orbit designed to be able to be in the vicinity of those radio signals. So the U-2 reaches out almost 300 miles of being able to listen to signals.
How can that? So I was under the assumption that there were drones doing this type of work now.
They are.
So they work in conjunction with the U-2?
They work in cooperation. I think that would be a better word.
Okay. And then how is it what you're gathering differs from what we see on Google Earth? I'm talking like, is it just real time with the U-2 versus?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Imagery wise, it's certainly a lot closer than what the satellites are orbiting. And so the other thing that you have to realize when you are flying in an orbit or on a mission that is described on a map, then you're collecting in real time. And if something happens, you can come back around immediately and give the guys on the ground a chance to look at that again. They can tell you, hey, we'd like you to back and turn and get back in this location.
Mm-hmm. So the U-2s are pretty agile?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, what physical requirements did you need to have in order to fly at 70,000 feet?
You need a spacesuit to start.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, you sure do.
So obviously,
a full plate, a full pressure suit is what it's called. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So did you have to ramp up to be able to fly at 70,000 feet?
You pre-breathe for a good hour and a half to get the nitrogen out of your system.
Okay.
Because nitrogen creates bubbles, and so they create the bends.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep yourself from doing that, so you pre-breathe 100% oxygen for an hour and a half, depending upon you. And then you're always breathing 100% oxygen while you're flying.
And then when you land, do you have to go through a similar process before you can go hug your wife?
No, really. The main thing, you want to stay awake a little ways and get some movement into you to try to get the oxygen flowing again to get it back within your body. Yes.
So when you come to town on the 18th and speak at the museum, what is the focus of your discussion? Is it going to be all about what you have done, or is it what we're facing now, or a combination thereof?
Combination thereof. I'm certainly going to cover the history of the program, which is very interesting, and then lead people into hopefully discussions that they can ask me questions about what's going on or what has gone on in different times. I grant you everything that I say in my presentation is unclassified and comes from open source documents. So
I would hope so.
We fly at 70,000 feet. We don't talk about how high we really fly.
Is it almost kind of funny now when you fly on a regular aircraft to come to Quincy? It's like, oh, that's only at 30,000 feet. I've been to 70,000. And You're
Well,
not
you
really.
get up and go to the bathroom, which is real nice. So
Hey, Colonel, safe travels to Quincy. I'm sure a lot of people will be there to see you at 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, not at 11 o'clock, but on the 18th for your talk at the Quincy Museum. And thank you very much for your time.
Ron, I really I believe in the aircraft. I believe in how we are collecting intelligence, and I'm always glad to come educate people on what is taking place.
And
so
that
I
is
look forward to it.
that is Colonel Frank Furr on Muddy River News.
Thanks, Ron. Definitely sounds like an interesting conversation you're not going to want to miss. Coming up next, Kristen Ritterbusch with John Wood Community College. Stay tuned.
The Tower, a great place to meet and eat. But did you know the Tower has one of the finest drink selections in our area? Along with its incredible Mexican menu, the Tower specializes in tequilas for every taste. Names like Patron, Cabo Wabo, and Hornitos. And don't forget the margaritas. On Mondays and Tuesdays, stop by and pick up a single topping pizza and get Tower margaritas to go. Enjoy the Tower at home or in our dining room, bar area, or the Tower's signature climate-controlled porch. The Tower Pizza and Mexican in Quincy.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
Welcome to the Abbey, a Quincy tradition. With 6 big screens, a new larger kitchen, and now more seating capacity, the Abbey is the place to be before, during, and after the big game. Come enjoy fan favorite appetizers, steaks, burgers, and a variety of daily food and drink specials. Can't join us? Carryout is available too. Now with a convenient drive-up window to better serve you. 1736 Spring in Quincy. Opens at 3 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Come join all your friends at the Abbey, a Quincy tradition.
Instant Replay is your local sports bar. With 18 big screen TVs, we have all the sports packages from college games to pro games. We offer daily drink specials, and come check out the Bullpen, our newly renovated beer garden. Instant Replay, 2739 Chestnut in Quincy.
Are you looking for the perfect venue for your next special event? Check out Utopia Event Center. Utopia has a large banquet room and an awesome bar area, perfect for anything from birthday parties to formal corporate meetings. It also offers a photo booth, stage for a DJ or a live band, and a fully stocked bar, all for only $300. Check us out at utopiaeventcenter.com or call Barn at 217-430-6559 for more information. Utopia Event Center, 900 North 12th Street in Quincy.
Welcome out to Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer and it feels so right. I'll meet you out on Broadway underneath Shamrock Light. We're gonna have a good time on the patio tonight. There's a party down at Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer on a champagne night. We're feeling all alone and you got no place to go. So come down here and drink a beer on Kelly's patio. Kelly's a fun place to eat and drink. 2902 Broadway.
And welcome back. Joining me now, Kristen Ritterbusch with John Wood Community College. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. So John Wood, I know I talk about it a lot. They were some of my favorite years growing up, right? I loved Jade Up, Blazers. The whole experience was awesome. And I was super impressed to hear about this new program you have coming up. Yeah. So Kristen, you are the director of Pathways at John Wood.
Yes.
So give me a little information about what Pathways is, what it looks like.
Sure. So John Wood has kind of gone on this journey following a guided pathways model. That's a national model that is just statistically proven things that help students be more successful. So it includes everything, redesigning the college experience from the top down and the bottom up to align students with their career, helping them explore it, helping them complete it, and then move on to their futures. So we started this in the spring, and it's come to positions and kind of restructuring, and then also some of these events that we're getting ready to talk about.
Yes, I love it. So I'm sure people have heard me say that, career counseling is one thing, but kids don't have enough exposure to what these careers really look like or to how to attain them. So it's kind of like this pie in the sky type of thing. Even for me, when I was, graduating, and even at John Wood, back then you did have a career counselor, but they weren't like, here's what you can expect when you get into this field of business administration, which you're like, well, what does that look like?
Right.
So that's what you guys are here to try to help with, which I think is outstanding and so very necessary.
Yes. And, if you go into a classroom of 8th graders or freshmen and you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're going to say like the top 10 careers that they've ever heard of.
Right.
That's what they want to do.
Right. Or the ones that make the most money, even though they may not.
Yeah, they want to all be anesthesiologists,
Yes,
you know.
100%. Yeah.
So anyway, what we are planning to do and kind of the shift is not just what are you going to do after high school? Where are you going to go to college? But the first conversation is what is that career going to be?
Right.
And then let's figure out what's going to get you there. So it's really focusing and kind of changing that thought process for them. And just the exposure to what is possible, what is out there. Yeah. And let's be real, there are positions that kids that are in school right now are going to have as professionals that don't even exist yet.
Right.
So
absolutely,
it's just preparing them to be flexible and preparing them to really just kind of try to find something that meshes their passion with something that can, make them money and make them a career to have a livelihood.
Because that's why we all work, right? I mean, we all have a passion, but you don't want to work for free. You can't, right? Not in today's society. So you're not only bringing awareness to what this career actually, what the real life scenario of each career is going to look like, but financially how they get there or what it's going to do financially to them after they, succeed in their goals, right?
Correct. So we talk a lot, obviously being at the community college, our whole purpose is to exist to make education affordable to anybody that wants it. And so that's our mission. That's why we do what we do. So a lot of what we do is explaining, how you can do this affordably and how you can do this and not be $100,000 in debt by the time you're done.
Yeah.
Because, you want to be a teacher, we're going to talk about education. You don't go into education because you want to make a ton of money.
Right.
You go into it because it's a calling
Sure.
and it is very rewarding. So, we try to help them think about the ROI and what this looks like. Because it's not just one decision. It's all these kind of micro decisions that lead to their future.
And it's so necessary. And I think it's going to be very helpful because, some people may think they want to be a teacher because that's their passion. But when they see what it's going to look like, it may change for them. Not that I hope it does, because it is, it is very rewarding and it does. But it is better to be prepared with the knowledge going into it than to be surprised after going through all the work.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So part of what we're trying to do with these pathway days is expose students to some hands-on stuff related to those careers. We're going to try to connect them with people that are working in those jobs so that they can say, look, my day looks like this.
Yeah.
My day looks like this. We're going to try to connect them with job shadowing. That's part of what we're doing as well. We've got some new software that kind of helps them with career interests. And one of the things that we do with this new pathways model is try to get them, when they get to college, their first semester, to make sure they are taking classes specific to their major.
Right.
So that either I love this, let's keep going, or like you said, maybe education's not, maybe this isn't for me and I need to shift directions.
A little exposure. I think it's great.
Yes.
So when you're talking about pathway days, is that the name? So there are events coming up that, they're lending themselves to help find the pathways for these students, right?
Correct.
So let's talk about the event.
Yeah, so we're shifting from just these general recruitment events to events specific to these career pathways. So the first one coming up is going to be our Education Pathway Day. So it's going to cover everything. Well, first of all, when I say education, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, teaching for sure.
Teaching, what grade?
I always think kindergarten just because I think that would be so fun.
So, but a lot of time that's what you think. There are so many careers that you can do with an education degree. Everything from early childhood education, everything from early intervention. You can do K-12. You can go on to be administrator. Like there are just so many things that you can do with an education. So that's part of what we're trying to draw on. Is it's not just this one, career that you've heard of or you have somebody that is doing that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to bring together the people that are working in those fields in all those different areas to try to expose them to these different directions that you can take if you do get that degree. We've got to pull together some hands-on experiences so that they can really see what it would look like. And then for this education one, while we're having lunch, we actually have employers that are going to set up kind of like a fair so that they can actually talk to people that are going to be looking to hire people with those skills.
Okay.
So we're really trying to fit it all together so
Yeah.
they can really see, okay, I'm interested in this. I can study this. I can go in these different directions. And here's people that are going to be hiring people with my skills in the next few years.
Right. So now when they're sitting down with the people who are there to do hiring, they're not doing interviews per se.
Correct.
They're
No.
just sitting down to try to kind
Yes.
of learn about what those positions look
Correct.
like, right?
Correct. They're talking about, okay, somebody that gets a degree in this, we would be hiring them for these types of positions.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that they can piece it all together.
And I love the fact that you're bringing in, because you're right. When people hear about a certain career path, they have in their own mind their own story of what that looks like, but there's so much more out there that we don't even know.
Correct.
You were telling me about children in hospitals.
Yeah, so
for
I
education.
actually learned this. I did a presentation. April Derringer, she's in charge of our education program, and I was listening to a presentation that she did, and she has these cards that she sets out, and we'll do something similar at the event that has all these different types of careers that you can do. And so you just pick one that you think sounds interesting and then play a little game with it. And one of them was somebody that has an early childhood education degree, but they go into hospitals for children that are in the hospital more long term.
Sure.
And they go in and check their developmental milestones, and they try to do things with them since they're not getting it in school,
Right.
to try to make sure they're staying on task and on trend as much as they can with
Sure.
what they have going on.
Didn't even know that existed.
Me either. So those
How
are
rewarding, though.
So those are some of the just neat things that you can do with degrees that we just want to expose students to possibilities.
May not know about. So when you're looking at, so you have a multitude of events coming up that are geared towards certain career pathways. So you mentioned education, then you have healthcare, and we'll go into a little bit more. And then, so each day that you have an event is geared towards one, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
the first one is education, and when is that taking place?
October 23rd. So
Okay.
it's coming up here real quick.
And is it during the day, or is it?
It is. It's
Okay.
from 10 to 12.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone can come, or who's it geared towards?
It's really it's targeted towards high school students.
Okay.
But anybody could come. Sure.
Okay. So then if my high schooler is interested, how does she
Yeah.
Does she have to like call and get excused and then come out, or does
So she can sign up. So students handle it a couple of different ways. Students do get excused visit days,
Okay.
and depending on their age, it changes in their school. So I would check with your counselor to see
Perfect.
if you can get an excused visit day, or they could just maybe make a leave from school, come and go back, or just take the day off.
Right. Yeah, that's what I like to do. Yeah. And you know, taking the day off, but you're preparing
You're learning,
yourself.
yes,
yeah,
for sure.
it's-
It is a very, very positive experience for
Yeah,
the students.
I love it.
And so students can sign up at jwcc.edu/path days.
Okay.
And all of the ones, it's a whole series of events. And so this is the first one, but on that same page is healthcare, transfer. Coming up in the spring, we'll have ag, we'll have trades. So as part of this Pathways model, we've kind of collaborated and put all of our programs into 12 call them
Buckets.
meta majors, career
Okay.
pathways. So we're hitting about half of them
Yeah.
this year, and then we'll expand to more next
Love it.
year.
I think this is so cool. And then, so when you're talking transfer, that would be anything that you can't necessarily get your entire education at John Wood. So that would be if you're transferring to a 4-year
Yes.
or further
so
on.
transfer would be all of our degrees where you would be starting a bachelor's degree at John Wood. So you would do your first 2 years at John Wood and transfer on. So that could be anything. That could be pre-med, that could be pre-law, that could be sociology, psychology, business, any of those degrees
Right.
that are bachelor's degrees. But you can really start almost any degree at John Wood.
Right.
Save a ton of money, get a great foundation,
Yep.
small class sizes, personal experience, and then you can go to whatever 4-year you want. And
That's what I did. I definitely recommend it. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, I think, one misconception they have is that they're going to be around a bunch of people from Quincy, and it's just not the case. I met so many friends from, out of town, and now we're still really good friends. So you
Yes.
do still get that college campus experience, especially now that there's a beautiful campus and so much going on all the time.
Yes.
So I think this is outstanding. I love that you're offering, this resource for kids, young adults, who want to learn more about what their career path may look like in reality. I think that's so cool. And then, connecting the financial piece as well, because nothing's free. And right?
Right.
And you want to make sure that you're preparing yourself to be successful if, if finances is in that realm for you. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I love it. So once again, tell people how they get signed up and
Yes.
the date for the first one. So if they want to get signed up for that one.
Yep. Go to jwcc.edu/pathdays.
Okay.
And I think there's a banner on our website also. And then it is October 23rd. So you can sign up sign up early, sign up now,
Right.
today, but up to the day before you
Perfect.
can sign up.
Up to the day. Okay. And then, there are more Path Days being offered as well. So get on there if you have any interest in John Wood, or really, regardless of where you want to go. This is a really
Yes.
good opportunity to get some exposure to your career path and, maybe help you on your way.
Absolutely.
Kristen, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate
and
it.
good luck with the events. I have no doubt they're going to be successful. Hopefully, everybody takes advantage. This is an outstanding resource for everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I think that does it for today's Daily Muddy. We'll catch you back here tomorrow for Coffee Talk.